Hello, and welcome to the setup video for real flight simulation software. This is the software that we will use in the first portion of your simulation course. We will run a number of scenarios and practice a number of different iterations of drone flight, both quadcopter, hexacopter, and fixed-wing flights. So your version of real flight might be slightly different, but the aircraft that we'll talk about and the airports should be in your version as well, should be very similar, or can be downloaded from the internet. Please be sure to check with your instructor. When you turn on the real flight software, and this version is real flight 8, a screen or several screens, startup screens, will come up, and you will not need any of these. I will show you how to manually set up your screen for flights for your course. So the first thing you can do when you're at this point is go ahead and X this out. Now the airport you may see may not be the airport that is in front of us now. It may be a different airport, so we're going to have to change a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to do is you'll notice you have your drop-down menus here. Let's go to Environment, and you'll notice one of them says Select Airport. Choose that. Now, again, there are more airports than will be in this available to you, and depending on the version you're using, you may have more airports as well. But for the first scenario or set of exercises, we're going to select Joe's Garage HD. So you'll select on that, and you can see there are different airports and iterations, and we'll use a number of these. But for the starting point, we're going to go to Joe's Garage HD and press OK. You should now have the airport, and you should be centered on the helipad takeoff point. And we'll use this one because it'll give you a nice reference here of a rectangular landing spot that we can use for basic practice at this point. Once we have that, we want to select the right aircraft. So you're going to go up to here where it says aircraft, and you're going to select the aircraft. Now, you may elect in the beginning modules, in the beginning lessons, to use one of two aircraft. And again, depending on your version, you may have to download these aircraft or find an equivalent. What we're looking for is Quadcopter X, which will be your basic quadcopter, but it will have GPS hold, which will allow you to hover and to make it easier for you to fly. So this is flying with GPS. You can choose other ones for your own enjoyment that will not have GPS hold. If you do not have or do not like the quadcopter, you may go up to the hexacopter 780 with GPS mode. This will give you a hexacopter that you can fly. And again, you can do the exercises with either of these two drones. But I'm going to go back to the Quadcopter X and press OK. And you can see that we have the quadcopter there in the middle. The next thing we need to do is to put a few things on the screen to allow your instructor to know what's going on, because they cannot be with you in the digital and online environment. So you're going to go to where it says Gadgets, and what we need here is to put a viewport on the screen. So this, you can see this came up very nicely, and you can move this to wherever you're comfortable. I prefer the lower left-hand corner. Now, it doesn't make much sense for us to have two views exactly the same. We're trying to simulate drone flights that you'll do live at the Ed and Eileen Smith drone port. So in order to do that, we need to have our visual line of sight view right here, and we will also need our first person or camera view. You can notice there's a camera on here. So we're going to go to where it says View. Now make sure that you've highlighted this viewport area, or you'll change the view on the main screen. Go in, go to Camera Type, and choose Live FPV Feed. Okay, and you'll notice, because I had highlighted the viewport first, before I did that, that I now have a view from the camera, and I'm looking in this direction over here. That's exactly what we want for the exercises. Now, we have to put up a few more items here. So we need a couple more gadgets. One of those is called the nav guides. So we have some nav guides here. But we may not want those, so we went back to gadgets, edit nav guide, and let's go. We want to make sure we have the altitude AGL clicked off. You want to make sure you have ground speed clicked and checked. You want to make sure you have heading clicked and checked. You can put time since the last reset. That is not necessary. I would probably take that off. You want to put battery remaining on your nav guide. You want to put voltage, because remember when we go over our Part 107 class, we talk about voltage and the importance of that element, and distance to aircraft as well. If you have all of these, that's fine. You can elect to add a couple things if you wanted to do wind speed or other height above ground level or other aspects that you would like. You can also make your gadget text large or small, and you can change things here, but those nav guides in the lower right hand corner will do. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to move them over a little bit here because, as you'll see, I'm going to add one more element to the screen. So I'm going to go back to gadgets, and I'm going to click radio, and what that will do is bring up a visual image of your remote control that you're using. So as you see, if I push it up, it goes up. All right, I can yaw back and forth, move side to side, yaw again, and land, and your instructor can see exactly what you're doing with your remote control in the video that you'll be making. So, a couple other elements to be aware of. If your instructor talks to you about wind speed, you can use page up or page down on your computer to add to the wind speed and wind direction. Okay. You can also go into speed here. All right. You'll notice you can click and increase wind speed. And so that's environment, wind, speed. You can do turbulence. You can do direction, and you'll see there's quick keys for your keyboard as well that you have available to you. So right now we're just going to leave it plainly like here. Now I want to show you one more thing that may be of benefit to you especially as you're just beginning this. If you go into simulation and you go into physics, here's where you are. Physics is really for those of you who are video gamers. Is like setting the difficulty level. So you can have intermediate, beginner, realistic. What I suggest when you start is start at beginner, master the skill, move to intermediate, master the skill, and then move to realistic. Obviously, realistic is your best friend in training because you want to get to this level because that's going to be the one that most accurately simulates live flights in the field. So this is practice. The great thing about this practice is if you do have a crash or you do have an incident, you can just hit the reset button on your remote control, your simulated remote control from real flight, and you start over where you began. So it's a really nice feature. So let's just say this is the first time you've ever done anything, so you're going to set this to beginner. Now what will we do? In the next series of videos, we will go over various exercises that you will have to duplicate, replicate, and record. So there are a number of ways that you can record. You can use screencast, you can use video copying software that's available in your syllabus, or you can simply use someone holding an iPhone behind you or an Android phone and videotaping you so that the instructor can see the screen that you have done the exercises on. That is an element, or you may elect in this course to contact your instructor in the online environment and set up a GoToMeeting with you, and your instructor will give you control to make you the presenter, and you will be able to fly live in front of the instructor. So you have a couple different options. You can videotape yourself and then submit that to the instructor, or you may do a live flight, which you will have to do at the end of the course anyway, at least one time, with the instructor. So this is the setup video. This is how we want it to go. And these are the elements we want to have you record on the screen. The first person view, the visual line of sight view, the navigation guides that tell us the altitude, the amount of battery remaining, which is in milliamps, the distance from the pilot, the ground speed, the heading, and the voltage at a minimum. You again may add other elements. You may make it more difficult for yourself or less difficult using simulation of physics, and you make it more difficult or less difficult with turbulence, wind speed, wind direction, etc. The last thing we need to have on the screen again is under Gadgets Radio, and that is a visual representation of your remote control. So again, the instructor can see your maneuvers and what you're doing to assess how well you've progressed in both using the simulation, but most importantly, in your safe flight operations. All of the exercises we will do today will lead to better piloting for you and will be elements upon which you build upon, so when you do live flights and later courses, you could sit for the practical AUVSI Top Trusted Operator Program pilot, so that not only would you have your FAA remote pilot certificate at the end of your program and your studies at Warren, but you will also have your pilot certification from AUVSI. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.